Looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Road Runners Unfiltered. UTSA just defeated UNT 37-29. Got a little scary there at the end, but we did come away with the victory. There's a lot to unpack in this game. There's a ton of good to take away from this because I think we learned a lot about what UTSA is about, what our chances are in terms of running the tables and potentially competing for a AAC championship. We learned a lot about our defense. We learned some things about our offense that we definitely need to clean up. There's just a lot coming from that game. But overall, I'm just happy that we came away with the victory. UNT was tough. I'll give them a lot of credit in the second half. They sharpened up things on their defense. I was very, very critical of their defense coming into this game. We talked about it here on this show about how bad their defense was. And I think large part in the first half, we've seen how bad UNT's defense was. But they settled in the second half, and they made this game a bit more close than it should have been. And I think UTSA, listen, our defense, just hats off to our defense. Hats off to UTSA's defense today. I talked about this in the preview before, and what I talked about was that team can score around 30 points, and our defense can still have a good game, and they could have dominated the game because their offense is so prolific. Understand that offense came into the game averaging 35.5 points. That offense, that UNT offense that we just played, averaged 35.5 points, and we held them to 29. And I know 29 is not a glorified, but what did I say before the game? We're going to have to score about 40 points to win. We didn't quite score 40. We scored 37, but we needed every bit of that 37 points to win the game, right? So it was a one-possession game at the end of it. I feel like, they kind of came on at the end to make that game closer than what it was. I feel like we were in control of the game for the vast majority of the game, or the vast majority of, obviously, the first half, but the majority of the second half as well. But you got to give them credit. They came back and they fought to make it close. But we made the necessary plays down the stretch to come out with a victory, period. The takeaways at the end of – listen, that interception, I think Darrien Taylor made the interception off the tip. I forget who tipped it right now, but that interception was huge. But what was more important than that interception, like the actual just interception itself, the thing that was the most important was the run back. Him running the ball back, however many yards he took it back, it seemed like it was at least 70 yards or 60, 70 yards. Him running that ball back, that's what set up the touchdown to for us to really take full control of the game, right? Our offense was struggling. They wasn't able to move the ball. So we gave them a very short field to work with, and all it took was 2 runs from Kavorian Barnes to knock off or to kind of put the game out of reach. But yeah, we knew what we were up against in UNT. They're a good team. They showed out to be a good team, and I think one of the things we also knew is their record can be a bit of a liar a little bit. That team is better than 3-5. It's just so that they can play with anybody. They played us hard. They played Tulane very hard. They played I think Memphis or whoever hard. They're a good team. They just have some things, and they have I think this is their first. Their coach, this is his first year, so there's some adjustments he's going to have to make. But back to UTSA, I am super impressed with the defense. The running back, the 3 running backs. Oh my gosh. They were excellent. I would have liked – here's if I'm just me being a nitpicky person and just want excellence every time. There was a 3rd and 1 with about 5 minutes left on that last drive, and we did not have Kavorian Barnes in the game. We had Rocco Griffin in the game there. It's not that I'll just be honest with you. I think Kavorian Barnes, they roll him out as a starter for a reason. He is our best in between the tackles punishing back. I would have liked to see him come in and take that run on the 3rd down. Rocco Griffin didn't get it. We had to resort to a we had to resort to a 4th and 1 tush push play to extend that drive. Because you got to think about it. If we would have turned the ball over there, UNT would have had a short field, with an opportunity to tie the game up, right? So, just like I said, I'm nitpicking a little bit, but that was something I would have, I just wish we would have seen something different there. Let's check this out. I want to look at some of the chats that we have here. I don't know why it's not allowing me to scroll up. I might end this poll because it's blocking my vision here. All right, let's see. Hard work, hard fought and well done. Absolutely. For Marcus, go Runners, proud of UTSA. UNT is going to be a force. Yeah, UNT is going to be good at some point. Why was McEwen out? He had an injury, I believe. I seen. I don't know how true it was, but I believe someone reported that he picked up an injury. I think that's why he was out. Let's see. Who is your favorite UTSA player? Right now, I'll go for this particular game. Guys, Trey Moore is – I think someone asked last week or earlier in the week about his chances of going, playing on the next level. Yeah, that dude's playing on the next level. Yeah, he's 100% going to play on the next level. There was a play, they did a misdirection play in their red zone, and the play flowed left, and he was covering backside. His eyes were in the right position, shoulder square, did not overcommit, held his position, set the edge, made the running back, which came his way. He set the edge, forced the running back to turn in, and he made the tackle. Yeah, that dude is good. That dude knows how to play the game. He knows how to play the game. He is a problem. So right now, based on the performance that he put forth, he's my favorite player. I'll tell you who had a pretty good game. I think Rashad Wisdom. I liked what I seen from him today. I think he has been such a legend at the school. His standard is so high because we expect so much from him based on what he's always done. But it's hard to go out there and make some of those plays just consistently over and over and over again. But he punched out the ball on that first fumble, I believe, and he made some really big tackles and some really big plays in key positions. So Rashad Wisdom also, I thought, had a pretty good game. Hey, I want to do a hand clap for the corners. I put this on in halftime because of the corner play. We got this in 2014. This was given to all the corners at the time from the UTSA coaches. They custom made this shirt for us. And I put that on because I was like, yo, our corners were balling. So check this out. That Macklin kid, he's Jeremy Macklin's, they mentioned it on the broadcast. He's Jeremy Macklin's cousin. His name is Jay Macklin. That's why he's wearing number 9. Jeremy Macklin is the receiver years back he played for Missouri, and I think he got drafted by the Eagles or something maybe. But anyway, Jay Macklin has had a touchdown every single game this year. He led the conference in touchdowns with 11. Every single game he had a touchdown. They targeted him on quite a few touchdown-type balls. We defended all of them. He had a relatively quiet game, 5 catches on 63 yards. Yeah, you go back and look at his stat line and all the other games this season, he did better than that. Those corners deserve a lot of credit for the number and the job that they did on UNT's receivers. 1,000%. 1,000%. And another thing, too, all the downfield threats and them trying to go downfield, our corners held up great in man. What do we talk about coming into this game? They like to try people. They like to try teams deep. They also like to hit those zones. That quarterback will rip zones apart. What do we do to adjust? We ran man coverage quite a bit in this game. We mixed it up very, very well. And it's part of why they had so much success running the ball against us, because if people are in man on the outsides, they're not going to have their heads turned around looking at the backfield, seeing the run. So if the running back gets to the second level and makes someone miss, he's on the third level, and the safeties are now going to have to make tackles in open field with a lot of space. They have running backs that can make people miss in space, and we've seen the results of that. But what it did do was it took away what UNT wants to do. They want to spread the ball around. They want to air raid. They have the air raid offense and things like that. That's what they want to do. If you take away what a team wants to do, just at the core of what they actually want to do, they start getting squirrely, even if they're having success doing something else. They had a lot of success running the ball against us, right? Ayo Ade, I think that's how you say his name, number 5, their running back, 17 carries on 105 yards, 6.2 yards a carry. He had a great rushing day. Oscar Attaway, the third, 12 carries on 62 yards and a touchdown. And their quarterback, it doesn't show a ton of yards on the stat sheet, but early in that game, he was getting loose as well. But it's just not what UNT wants to do. It's not what they want to do. We took away virtually what they want to do. We held that quarterback to 272 yards. What did we say? What did I predict? I have to pat myself on the back about this one. What did I say? UTSA, he came into the game. That quarterback, Rogers, I think that's his name, Chandler Rogers, came into the game with a 19-1 touchdown to interception ratio. We picked them off twice. Now, there were tips, but that counts. That counts. They like to throw the ball downfield. They were dinking and dumping and trying to throw because of the coverages we were playing. They didn't have success downfield. So they're having to throw quick slants and try to throw screens and all this type of stuff. Things that they don't, it's just not what they want to do. It's not what they are best at. And guess what happens? We tip passes, we make plays on the ball, and we get takeaways. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. If we take away what their bread and butter is, and they have to use another method to get them yardage, they are always going to want to go back to their bread and butter, no matter what the case is there. And I think we just did an amazing job on that. So shout out to the corners, shout out to the coordinator, the defensive coordinator. I thought he called a really good game. I mean, we did our thing. Marcus Lambert says Frank Harris draft stock. Yeah, we talked about this before on his draft stock. I don't know about. I think the draft piece of it is going to be a little difficult for him, just based on his size and how typical NFL quarterbacks like they have, like, these scouts have perfect profiles of what their ideal quarterback will look like. He's probably going to be 6'5". He's probably going to be 220 pounds or something like that. He's going to have a rocket arm, and he might can have some mobility. That's like your standard prototypical thing that every scout would love, or every team would love to bring in. So, but what typically happens is, well, you have this perfect style of quarterback that they may want, right? But obviously, everybody's not going to be like that. So there are things that they're willing to make concessions on. And like sometimes they say, okay, well, we'll make concession on this particular player. He may not be 6'5". He might be 6'2" or 6'1" or 6 foot, but he has a rocket arm. He's going to run a 4.3 or he's going to run like a 4.4 in the combine. And he's like got special arm talent that you just don't see. So it's cool to make that concession. Or you might have a guy who maybe not have the he may not be fully developed as a quarterback in some of the details. His mechanics may be off a little bit, but he's the size. Think of Anthony Richardson, right? Anthony Richardson, the quarterback for the Colts, he is the perfect size of quarterback, but his mechanics is not perfect. When he was at Florida, he wasn't the most efficient quarterback and those type of things. Well, they look at that and say, well, he checks all the boxes from an athletic standpoint. We can take him and work with him. I think the problem with Frank is there's going to be too many concessions that they're going to have to make for him to have a real shot from a draft standpoint. But I do think a team will bring him in and give him a shot and see what he can do there. And I think you roll the dice out, and if he performs, he'll be able to make something shake there. And I really hope he's able to do that. I think that'll be big. He has so much good film that I don't think an NFL team can ignore him. But I just think there's some concessions that they're going to have to make bringing him in, and I don't know if some teams are going to spend draft picks on that. Anyway, going back to the game, I want to talk about the offense a little bit. I haven't really talked about the offense a ton yet. So the offense, from a running standpoint, was great. I did talk about the little thing I was a little annoyed about at the end of the game because Kevorian Barnes was so good in this game. 16 carries, 129 yards with 2 touchdowns, 8 yards a carry. That dude could not be stopped. And that touchdown run at the end of the game was fantastic. Just bulldozing that team, not giving up, having the belief that he was going to get in, and just the belief in the work he's put in and the strength that he has. That was excellent. Rocco Griffin and Robert Henry ran the ball pretty well. I thought Robert Henry missed a couple. I think Coach Traylor even mentioned it too. I think he missed some holes at some point, and I think he tried to cut back a little bit too early and I think you'll see a running back with as much success as he's had. You'll see them do that because he's used to popping big plays. But today wasn't his best game, but he still was able to find the end zone, which I thought was impeccable. But one of the things we talked about was the running back split, right? But I love the split that we seen this particular game. Kevorian Barnes, 16 carries, Robert Henry, 13 carries, Rocco Griffin, 10 carries. I love that. What I did not love is I expected the dominance that we had on the ground. I expected that to open up some of the passing attack. And honestly, it didn't. It didn't open up the passing attack the way I thought we did. I sort of think that we rolled Frank out a little bit too much, and because when you roll out, there's pros and cons to rolling a quarterback left or right. The pro of why teams do it is they make the decisions easier. When you roll out, there's typically they're going to be right in his face too. He's going to have a high, medium, and low option every single time, right? And we do it really, really well, and we do it in key downs. But I think we had a ton of success doing it against East Carolina. We didn't have as much success doing it against North Texas. They were ready for that, and they watched film over what we did last week and said, "Oh, we're probably going to see this look again because we had so much success doing it." We completed some passes on some of that, but we just didn't look good from a receiver standpoint or just from a passing game standpoint at all to me. I think Frank threw some errant passes, some things that was a little bit off kilter, I guess. I think we didn't have enough separation from our receivers. Well, I think Joshua Cephas, and this comes as no surprise, he did really well. He caught some passes, but I think not having Devin McEwen was a problem. Someone D mentioned it in the chat here. I don't know if the chat's working, guys. If somebody could give me a little note or something in the chat so I can see if it's working, that'll be great. I don't know if it's working right now for me on my end. If it's not, it's not. It is what it is. But yeah, if somebody could write a note in the chat for me, I'll do it. Test. If y'all can see that, let me know. Anyway, I thought that Devin McEwen not being there probably made Frank a little bit more hesitant to throw the ball some. I think that I know Joshua Cephas was banged up, but they still threw him the ball quite a bit. One thing I was surprised about is we didn't really give Taki Ogle-Kellogg too many deep shots. That to me is a problem because what have we talked about before? It's like our offense has to be potent everywhere. We have to be able to run our quick outs to the outside, but we also need that downfield threat. I think we threw the ball one time, but it was out of bounds or was well overthrown. He wasn't going to get to it earlier in the game, but we really didn't come back to him. As I said before, that dude needs 2 to 3, maybe even more than that, targets deep down the field per game. that opens up everything else. Also, I mentioned this live tweeting. I would love them to target Oscar once a drive because to me, he's instant momentum. He's instant momentum. You see Twitter start buzzing every single time he makes a play. You can see the team respond well whenever he makes a play every time. Why not do it more? He can catch the rock. Like, I'd like to see them get the ball, get him the ball. It's not that difficult. I think the Alamo Audible guy tweeted us today and said, hey, you know, based on if you look at the way the defense was lining up, him dripping through over the middle would be perfect for us to take advantage of. And we just really didn't based on the looks we were getting. That was kind of alarming. I also did not understand to start the second half, we go 3 and out, all 3 pass plays. That made no sense. And this is sort of the thing that frustrates me about our OC a little bit. And I'm not going to like rag on our OC. At the end of the day, we put up 37 points. I am happy. I'm happy about that. The thing that worries me though is that we always have these instances in games where we're all like scratching our head, wondering like, what the hell are we doing? Like, why was that the play call? Why are we doing that in this situation? So on and so forth. And we had another one in this particular game. And obviously I get like not taking, no game is going to be perfect. There's going to be calls that the fan base doesn't agree with, but they didn't stop us running the ball one time in the first half. I mean, you can go as far as say we were running the ball a little bit too much in the first half because there was 3rd and 12. We were running the ball and we got spoiled because we got it. We converted. So, you know, so we were having that sort of success. Why would we come out in the second half and go 3 and out with 3 straight pass plays? That to me is just mind-boggling. What are we doing? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I tweeted. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I would have much rather seen us come out and run the ball 3 times to have UNT prove to us they can stop our run game. That's what you do. Make them stop you before you start changing things up. We didn't have to change things up there. Now, to be fair to UNT, that next drive, the next drive right after that, we did come back and run the ball, and they stopped us. But we should have flipped that. We should have came out, ran the ball. They stopped us. Then we respond with passing the ball and that sort of thing. That was just a head scratcher to me. Like, why do we do that? And if you just think about, and the way I think about that and why that to me is important, because someone can say, oh, well, that's just one drive. You know, we're not going to be perfect every drive. Here's the way I look at it. I think the first half score was 27-13. I believe so. Something like that. Whatever it was, we had an opportunity to go up 3 scores if we score a touchdown. That gives us a whole different, it just changes the game completely. You know, UNT doesn't make the run they make and don't score you know what I mean? Like, these things are important. We can't, you know, make those type of errors, you know, and to me, it just seems like there's always 1 or 2 points in every game that UTSA Twitter is going crazy because the OC did something just hard to explain, right? Okay, the chat is working. Let's see. Melissa Gutierrez says, hello, Melissa. Says Tulane 13, ECU 10. That's crazy. Tulane is just winning close games. They're just winning close games. The teams that you think that they have an easy out against. Yeah, what's going on with them? They're 8-1. They haven't lost. But look at these games. So 13-10 against East Carolina, they win. They beat Rice by 2 points, 30-28 the week before. North Texas, 1 touchdown game, 28-35. Memphis, 31-21. UAB, 35-23. They controlled that one. Yeah, interesting. Interesting here with Tulane. But you know what? This tells me something. What that tells me is they're a good football team, but they can be had. They can be had. They can be had. Like I said, if we keep building, we're going to have so this North Texas game was a huge test. We needed to win this game because that's a good team. I don't give a shit what their record says. That's a good team. We needed to win that game. Now we have stiffer competition in Rice next week, right? And to me, that's going to be huge. Has Rice played today? Okay, they play at 6:30. Definitely going to tune into that Rice and SMU game for sure. But Rice is going to be a little better than who we just played today, North Texas. So yeah, we just a little bit of a measure up in competition, and if we get through all those games, Tulane's going to be in trouble. You know what was interesting? I haven't seen the final score. South Florida is. I don't understand this South Florida team. So they lost. They lost to Memphis today, but the score was 50-59. That's a close game, and Memphis is kind of like they have the same mystique as Tulane. They have the same mystique. Like, oh, this team is really good. They're scary. They may win the whole thing. Yeah, maybe, but they are in some of these in close games. So they close game with South Florida, 45-42 last week. They escaped in that game against North Texas. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, guys, as we get down to the nitty-gritty of this season. That Tulane game, we got business to take care of before that. But yeah, I can't wait to see. One thing I will say too is I think we can all agree here, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about this, but we have not seen the best UTSA yet. We have not peaked. We have not peaked yet. And now what I will say is we're starting to put together games that look more complete. Like, check this out about our defense. And I think we need to rewrite the story on the defense. They had a few bad games, but our defense is a second half team. They're a second half unit. Now, in this game, it kind of contradicts that because North Texas scored 2 touchdowns in the second half, which equated to, and converted two 2-point conversions. But the plays that they made down the stretch, that huge takeaway that we had, that huge interception at the end of the game, was just a masterclass by our defense there. And North Texas is the statistically, from a yard standpoint, the best offense in the conference. We held them to 2 touchdowns. They didn't score at all in the third quarter, right? They did a little bit in the fourth quarter, which is fine. But I still credit that big play. But when you look at some of the other games, right, and you look at what the defense has done in the second half, against East Carolina, we held them to 7 points in the second half, right? FAU, we held them goose egg in the second half. They scored nothing in the second half. Even going back to UAB, we held them to 7 points in the second half. Our defense, what I'm starting to see is our defense goes into the locker room and makes really good adjustments to what the offense has shown them in the first half. They've shown the ability to go in, analyze what the opposing offense has success on in the first half, and then take that away in the second half. That's what our defense has been doing consistently. And like I said, technically, I understand that technically this UNT game today sort of contradicts that. But I think some of the big plays they made defensively against that defense still validates my point here. But our defense is really, really good at making halftime adjustments, and that's something that needs to be called out 100%. Offensively, I don't know if I could say that. Offensively, it seems like we get off to really good. We get off to really good starts, and then we just they go away. We just don't. We struggle in the second half a little bit. Like we struggled today in the second half. Wasn't great, but defensively, we just got to tip our caps off to them. Let's go back to the comments. Melissa says, I was thinking the same about the OC. I'm assuming you're talking about, you're referencing that the second half play calls. Yeah, just, I don't know, insane to me, right? D says USF led Memphis at one point, I think. I wouldn't be surprised. They're putting up 50 points on a team, my goodness. My goodness. And listen, to be fair to South Florida, they're 4-5. They're not. It's not awful. Well, it's not great either. But like they still have a chance to make a bowl game. They can turn that season around. They gotta, mark a loss on the book, so they're not gonna beat us. But you know what I mean. They still have a chance. They have 3 games left. Temple is gonna be a winnable game. They're probably gonna beat Temple, if I had to guess. And who else do they have? They have Charlotte. They're probably going to beat Charlotte. They'll be bowl eligible by the end of this, for sure. So, yeah, interesting. I guess for me, I expect Memphis, based on the mystique and the way that they're talked about and things like that, I just expect Memphis to do some things. But, it's hard to go up and, and just blow a team out. It's not easy. D also says, Darrien flashback seeing Darrien almost get the pick six. Right? 100%. I'm with you there. 100%. I miss that dude's energy. 1,000%. Melissa Gutierrez says, Army 23, Air Force 3. Interesting result that is. Army will be problematic in the conference. But them beating Air Force is huge because Air Force, I believe, was ranked 17. That's huge. But like I said, man, those games are just – those teams are wild. Like, you just never know what you're going to get when you play a team like that. Melissa says UTSA may still have a path to the New Year's Bowl game. I think, they'd have to run the tables. We'd have to run the tables. I think our non-conference is going to hurt us, but you never know. I'm not a specialist in like how bowls and stuff are picked and stuff like that. I have a general understanding of how that is, but I'd say our performance early in the season, losing some of the games the way we did, would hurt our chances. But you know what? You never know. We win. We run the tables the rest of our schedule, and anything can happen. Won't count it out. Jared says Darrien brings similar energy, but I think it's heavily overlooked. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I don't disagree with you there. I feel, you know what I think? I feel like Darrien, he did so much extra after he made a play, like every single time. His celebrations were so extra. I love it 100%, 1,000%. Some other key things that I'm just going to look through some of my notes, see what I didn't cover. I covered the defense, making those key adjustments, which I think, you know what? One of the things, so here's some concerns that I did have about our defense, though. I am, regardless of how we were playing them, I am a bit concerned about the rushing yards that we gave up today. Yeah, that concerned me just a little bit because if you think about it, East Carolina rushed the ball really well against us. UNT just rushed the ball really well against us. Yeah, it's starting to become too much of a trend. Like, it's 2 games in a row where we got exposed on the ground pretty significantly. I'm curious let me look at the stats of how many yards. Yeah, they had 187 rushing yards on us. Yeah, we could do a little bit better than that. 100%. That worries me. That worries me a little bit. The rushing stuff is a bit concerning, especially as we move forward to play some of these better teams. It's a little bit concerning. And not only that, but like, did you see our tackling on the second and third level? Not great. Not great. Our front seven did a really good job. But sometimes when those, and listen, some of this I got to give hats off to some of the rushers, some of those running backs for UNT. They made some of our guys miss. We also there was one play here at the end where one guy, I think it was number 0 for UNT, caught a pass somewhat over the middle, and we just, we had a good opportunity to bring him down, and he just shrugged us off and kept going and extended the play quite a bit. I think he gained 10, 15 more yards after that. Our tackling on the second and third level is just not good in the open field, and that type of thing can bite you. That type of thing can bite you because here's the thing. And we're bend but don't break defense, and that's the motto, and we did excellent at that. But there's still things defensively that has to be cleaned up. When these people teams are going to catch nice passes on us, but we can't let them make 10-yard completions or 8-yard completions. We can't allow them to turn into 20 and 30-yard gains because we're not tackling as soon as they catch the ball, right? We have to get people to the ground rather soon, and we can't allow them to pile up so many yards after the catch. That was a little bit alarming to me. It's something that stuck out enough to where I put it down in my notes. I was just like, we got to do better with that. 100%. What I will say is one other thing I want to highlight about our defense. You see how many plays, and I think both. So it was 3 takeaways. There was 2 in particular. I don't remember which one. I know obviously the one at the very end of the game, the interception by Darrien Taylor, was a huge momentum killer. And I'm talking momentum killer for UNT. And we had another one of those where they were driving the ball, and I think that's the fumble that Rashad Wisdom punched, that he punched out. The key thing about those is it just killed and deflated UNT's momentum. I think that's huge. And that's what being a bend but don't break defense is all about. Just taking advantage of opportunities, taking away the ball. Whenever fumbles get there, we have to win those battles in the piles to make sure we come away with the football at those particular times. We just have to. If we tip a ball up, we have to take it. We had another opportunity down the field to catch an interception, and we didn't do a good job there because I think our guys may have ran into each other, whatever the case may be. We really should have picked him off 3 times. If I'm being honest, we really should have. He got a little desperate at the end of the game. He threw a pass that he had no business throwing. We should have picked that off. So we are a very opportunistic defense. I think even the broadcast used that. And one of the things, and there's a key stat, our defense could not create any takeaways to start the season. Over our last 6 games, we have 12 takeaways. That's huge. That is taking possessions away from the offense, from the opposing offense. We have scored off some of those takeaways directly by the defense, but we've also, like today, set our offense up with such good field position that they score as well. That is how the defense helps the offense, 100%. That helps us put points on the board, 1,000%. So our defense, to me, has just been the highlight. And if they continue to play this type of ball, I have no doubt in my mind our offense is going to come out and play a more clean game because, like I said, at the end of the day, we still put up 37 points, even though the numbers don't look as great, especially from a passing standpoint. It's not your typical offensive performance that we would expect from our offense, but 37 points is going to be 37 points no matter how you look at it. So, yeah, huge. Huge. Jared says that we can all agree with. I think you're talking about the Darrien Taylor, the celebratory stuff after the plays he makes, all the extra. Yeah, we can all agree with that one. They can't put teams away. Is this? I forget what. I don't know which team you're talking about there. I probably should have been looking at the chat as I was talking about it. I'm trying to think any other key takeaways from the game. I think at the end of the day, and I'll start rounding out. And if you guys have any comments, get them in now because I think I'm about to close it down if we don't have any more. Just my kind of parting notes on this. It's a great win overall. I put a poll in the chat just to see what you guys thought on the letter grade. Letter grade, I'm going to go a solid. I'm going to actually go B+. Don't think it's necessarily an A, but I think it's a little higher than a B. I think I'll give them a B+ because I think the defense came out and set the tone. And I think what they did today gives the fan base confidence. I think it puts confidence just in the team. They're confident themselves. I think it helps the psyche and the mentality of the offense because it alleviates some of the pressure on them. I think it just helps everything, man. Teams with good defenses win championships. That's just how it is. I don't necessarily agree with the term defense wins championships because I think you need a good offense to win championships too. Or you don't necessarily need a good offense, but you need an offense that's putting up points. But teams with good defenses win championships. You never see teams that have awful defenses win championships. You can't stop anybody. You can't, So, and all good defenses, they don't look the same. Some defenses don't allow anything. They're just excellent. You can't run. You can't pass. You can't do anything. And they won't allow you to score 13 points. You have some defense that are that stout. But you also have defenses that – you may not hold a team of 13 points, right? But they might get 21, but that defense may have picked them off 3 times or forced 4 takeaways in the game and scored off one of them, right? I just think the defense showing up the way that they're showing up gives me confidence as we try to make a run at this AAC title. It gives me confidence that we can stop people. We are playing in a conference that has a ton of, they have a ton of big time offenses, right? 2 people in our conference score 50 points in the same game, 50 to 49. Everybody's above 40 something in our for the most part in our conference. Hell, we played a team that's just averaging 35. We score a lot too. Our offense or our conference has prolific offenses, and you need defenses that can get takeaways. And to me, our defense is good because we can get takeaways and we are making key adjustments at halftime to what the opposing offenses are showing us. That is not something to take for granted. That is not something that you can look at lightly and say, oh, well, any team is going to go into the locker room and make changes. Yeah, they're going to make changes, but do they work? We have shown that we can make changes that work, and they actually make an impactful difference in the game. And to me, that is a huge game changer. So our defense has been hella consistent over the last these 4 games or so. And I have so much confidence in what that's going to mean in subsequent contests. Jared Schroeder says, great win. We can do better. I give the first half a B+. The second half a solid C. Now let's see if Rice can upset SMU. Birds up. Yeah, so that's going to average out at about a B for you. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at the B. I think the most people in the polls selected a B as well. So anyway, for those of you who are still here with me, I would appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to the channel so we can keep doing this and like the video if you can so we can grow the community. That's what this is all about. Growing the community and having more people join this and us doing these live chats. Really appreciate everybody who joined, and I will see you guys midweek on Wednesday for the game preview against Rice. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. See ya.